Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel for another unboxing. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 1/6 scale Hellboy figure made by Hot Toys. This figure is based off the newest 2019 movie starring David Harbour. I did just recently watch the new Hellboy movie for the first time. I really enjoyed the original movies with Ron Perlman, so I wanted to give this new one a try, even though I heard that it was pretty bad. So anyways, I gave it a chance, and unfortunately, my opinions are about the same as all the rest of the critics. It just missed the mark. Now, I think David Harbour did a fantastic job as Hellboy. He nailed that sarcastic or sardonic and flippant persona that we are familiar with, and he had a handful of funny zingers in the movie. But besides his performance, the rest of the movie was kind of lackluster. So why buy a figure based off a bad movie? Well, I think the figure is actually pretty sick, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll see why. So let's start this off by taking a closer look at the box. So for the front box art, we have this nice large image of Hellboy. And I think this is a picture of David Harbour in the Hellboy movie and not one of the actual figure in the box. But either way, it's Hellboy in his final form. He has his long horns, a crown of fire. Right center is his right hand, fittingly named the right hand of doom. Underneath that, in his left hand, he's holding Excalibur. You have all of the flames coming out of it. And then underneath the image is his name, Hellboy. And all of this is surrounded with flickers of flame, which just gives it a nice design that just ties it all together. And then at the bottom, you have your movie masterpiece logo and your Hot Toys logo. Now, for the sides, again, you just have Hellboy's name. But as you can see, the box is cut at this diagonal angle, which is a little bit interesting. It's kind of reminds me of shoebox design. I'm not sure what the significance of this is, but it is unique. It's not like a lot of other collectible boxes. Top and bottom, you just have Hellboy's name, and then on the back, you have your warnings and trademarks. So now let's slip off the top of the box. And as you can see, they added a small thin insert inside with the image of Hellboy holding what I believe is the Samaritan firearm. And then underneath you have all of the names of the amazing individuals who helped create this figure. And then underneath that, you can see there are a ton of accessories that came with this figure. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all the tape off the trays and get every item laid out onto the table so that we can take a closer look at each one. So every accessory included in the box is laid out onto the table. And as you can see, there are a ton of them, almost on par with the amount of accessories they included in the John Wick 1/6 scale box. I like that Hot Toys add so many accessories because it just gives you so much potential for posing. So let's move into each item, and I'll start off with the base. So Hot Toys provided a nice wide heptagonal base for the Hellboy figure to stand on. They placed a Hellboy sticker for the front nameplate, and there's this nice fiery image for the floor base. They have two slot inserts for your crotch grabber. I'm assuming that's just for better balance. And then the crotch grabber is just a normal, regular one. Overall, this is a really solid base. Next, let's look at the fiery section, beginning with the crown. Now, all of these items are made with a translucent material and are sculpted really well, giving a nice lifelike effect. The crown specifically has a little opening right here, as you can see in the back, which allows for this other item, a small clear tube, to peg right in, just like this. One side pegs into the crown and the other side pegs into the back of the figure's head. And so the head would just sit right here, and it'll look really good. You'll see a little bit later from now. But if you decide not to go with the crown, they also added a nice other little hair bun piece that you can peg into the back of the head to complete the hair look. So moving on to the next item, we have this lightning fire effect piece. It's actually, if you look at the instructions, it's for the Excalibur sword. You slide the Excalibur sword through some of these little openings, and it gives that effect that, the fire is coming from it, or the lightning, I guess, is coming from the sword. It's pretty cool. It's kind of large, so I don't know if I'd be able to display it in my case, but it's a nice added touch. Now moving on to the actual Excalibur itself. It's a nice medieval sword. They have this intricate design for the handle that is weathered, and then you have some chipping down the sides for each side of the blade. Sculpted really, really nice. Now they added a second Excalibur. This is the upgraded one. with all these flames that you see in the movie. Really, really nice. It still has that intricate handle, but then you have that translucent fire that just looks so lifelike. Honestly, this is going to be the one that you're going to be displaying in your case, or you're going to have Hellboy holding, because it just looks so good. And if you notice closely, there is a little peg at the bottom of the handle, and that's actually because they added two specific hands in the box that both have a little insert for the weapon, as you can see right there. And this just allows you to hold that Excalibur and let it be more secure. That way, if you're holding it, upside down or in some sort of goofy position, you don't have to worry about it falling out. And for the last items in this section, Hot Toys provided these sculpted flame effects that you can just add around the base, and it gives a nice little fire effect to your display. Really, really neat. Moving on, Hot Toys provided 6 left hands and 3 right hands for the Hellboy figure. And just taking a closer look, you can see that they're really well sculpted and painted. You have a couple of them that are for holding the weapons, and then the rest of them are just for different poses. And this last one right down here is actually a little different because it has some cloth around a few of the fingers, and then that necklace that they added to the sculpt. I believe that is the necklace held by his adopted father, Professor Broom, but I don't remember it in the new movie. I remember it in the original one with Ron Perlman, but I'm not sure if it's just a throwback or if I just missed it. Either way, that's really, really cool. Now for the 3 right hands, you might think that these two are just fists, closed fists, but actually this one is that one I showed you earlier that has the pliable fingers and that little insert for Excalibur. And then the middle one also has 4 pliable fingers that you can really just bend in any direction that you want. You could make the Thanos snap if you so pleased. A really nice soft material for these, unlike a lot of the other ones where they're a little harder, but also crafted or sculpted really nicely. I believe that the hand is supposed to be some sort of like hellstone rock or something like that, but it does give that rock-like appearance with the painting and detail. So really cool overall. I like the hand sculpts that they added for this figure. Next, we have Hellboy's horns, and as you can see, they are very nicely crafted. There's a good amount of detail from the base all the way to the tip. They peg right into the forehead, and I will have them attached a little bit later, and you'll see what that looks like. Hot Toys also included these 2 interchangeable bracelets for the left wrist, which is pretty cool. It also hides the joint on the upper seamless body, but it also looks pretty good. You can see the detail they used in sculpting this. So they also added this little communicator that you see Hellboy use in the movie. This probably just clips on the belt, but also a nice little accessory that they added into the box. So here we have 2 firearms that are included with the Hellboy figure. And I know the bottom one is named the Samaritan. That's the popular firearm for Hellboy. And I think that the top one could also be maybe an older or newer version of the Samaritan. I'm not exactly sure the name for it, but when I looked online, the only thing I could find was this was also named the Samaritan. So I'm not sure. But either way, they're both very nicely crafted firearms. You can see this one down here, the cylinder actually can rotate, and you can see the silver bullets that are painted inside each chamber. Nice clean look, whereas the second one has more of a weathered effect. But either way, these weapons look really, really good and will look nicely equipped with the Hellboy figure. So for the last of the accessories, we have these 2 clothing options. First is this black shirt or vest with the logo, the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense. And then it's got a weathered effect to it. You can kind of see the dirtiness or griminess of it, which is pretty cool. And one of the things that I really like is that it's actually latched or buttoned together on the side right here. So it makes it a lot easier to actually put it on the Hellboy figure. For the final item, we have Hellboy's trench coat. It's nice and light, a dull green color with some red staining at the bottom. It's also kind of dirty and grimy, just like the vest was or the shirt. You have a brown soft material for the inside, and then almost kind of like a leather feelish collar. There are attached buttons, and then you have the same logo on the black shirt you have on the left sleeve. So really nice design. It's also open in the back for Hellboy's tail. and a couple more buttons. Really, really awesome trench coat. It's going to look really good on the figure. So here we have Hellboy himself. And first off, he is a heavy figure, probably the heaviest figure I've ever handled. Now, he has a seamless top body that hides the joints and it looks realistic. I love that. The last figure I had with this sort of a body was Mike Tyson. And unfortunately, that material did not hold up well. But this is Hot Toys. They're higher quality. That was a third party. So I have a lot more expectations for this figure in the long run. So I'm just going to start from the top and make my way down to the bottom, just going over all the details of this figure. The quality of this head sculpt is top tier. This looks exactly like Hellboy from the movie. And you can even kind of see David Harbour's portrayal, through all of the makeup or the design. But this is really, really good. They also have the horns right here that can change out. They're a little tricky to get out, but that's probably pretty good. That means they're going to stay in when you put the horns in. But they just peg in and out like that. I like the way the eyes look, how they painted a little bit darker red underneath the sockets, and he's got those yellow eyes. Really good attention to detail with this sculpt. And moving on to the body, it is made out of this rubbery material that you can kind of push in. Really nicely sculpted though. I mean, it's so well painted and sculpted that you can see like the hair effect that it has on both the chest and the back. It just kind of looks like hair's coming out, but it's just the painting and the sculpt, which is really awesome. And you have the veins and the muscle and all of the different individual muscle sections. So really lifelike, and that's what I love about these seamless bodies. I love how realistic they look. I just hope that the material actually holds up in the long run. So for Hellboy's right hand, this piece can actually come off as well. You can see there's a little attachment there, but that makes it easier getting on his trench coat, and easier maybe switching out the hands and putting in different weapons and whatnot. But pretty cool. And I do really like the double belt around his waist. It's got a lot of detail and is beautifully crafted. You can see all the different pouches, this little necklace. He's got different rounds for his Samaritan. It just looks really good. And the holster right here, which can carry one of his weapons. And for the legs, Hellboy wears these gray pants that are decently weathered, a lot of grime and dirt, just like the rest of his outfit. And then he's got some black boots, nicely sculpted, little texture for the sole. And lastly, for the tail, it's got a nice little hair sculpt on the back, and it is 100% movable. You can really get creative with this. It's very pliable, so you can make all sorts of poses, which is really awesome. So now let's get into articulation, starting with the head. Now the head itself isn't going to move that much, mainly because the hair really prevents it or hinders it from moving in different directions. It's on a fixed neck with a ball joint, so you can kind of, I guess if you really move the hair out, you might be able to get it to go 360, but you'd probably want to just take it off and then pop it back on. You don't really have any movement down or back. It's really just side to side, a little bit of pivot. So that's all you're going to get for the head. So for the arms, they can reach up to 90 degrees. They are on ratcheted joints, and it'll come all the way back down flush. Where the right side, the right arm, it doesn't sit flush. It kind of bounces back a little bit to a set position. I've seen that with other figures or other unboxings as well. A little bit unfortunate, but it doesn't really bother me too much. You can bring the arm all the way up. The material will bunch up at the shoulder, but that's okay because it just gives it more of a realistic look. You have a single bend on ratchets at the elbow, and then a regular ball joint for your wrist. For the torso, there is a small amount of ab crunch. It is able to rotate 360, and you can kind of bring it up and down. It is just attached into the legs. The seamless top is different from the leg portion. So for the movement of the legs, they are a little bit hindered by the belt. I guess if you wanted to take the belt off, maybe you could get it a little bit farther reach, but it can go maybe about 75 degrees out and up. There is a double bend for the knee joint, and then a swivel for the thigh, and then you have your regular ball joint for your boot. So just wrapping up, let's talk about the good and the bad. Starting off with the sculpt, the body, the material, the painting, the detail, the actual figure is absolutely amazing. They put a lot of work into this 1/6 scale Hellboy figure, and it shows. I really like the seamless body. I'm hoping that the material holds up in the long run, but it is crafted beautifully. It looks realistic. It looks really good. I also love the amount of accessories that they provided for this Hellboy figure. I mean, there are so many different posing possibilities just because of the vast number of accessories, the different hand sculpts, the fire flame effects. I mean, it really is amazing just how much they put into the box. I also like that they incorporated a metal skeleton inside the figure. It just makes it more sturdy, and I think that's going to help keep the figure lasting in better quality in the long run. And I also really like the backdrop that was added to the box. I'm personally a fan of backdrops. I think that it gives a little more value to your display. I know there are a lot of people out there that are super creative and are able to craft elaborate dioramas or backgrounds, but I'm not one of them. So, in my opinion, whether you're displaying a figure on a shelf or in a case, having that backdrop just helps give your figure more presence. So for the things I don't like, there's really only one issue that I had, and that was with the left hand. The joint was pretty loose, and I'm not sure if that's just for my specific copy of this figure or if that's across the board, but I've had a little bit of issues moving around the arm, and the left hand would just fall out of the peg slot. So that was kind of unfortunate. I just have to be a little bit careful with that specific hand. The only other thing that I'm worried about is the actual body, the material for the seamless upper torso and arms. The last seamless body I had didn't hold up too well just after a few days. So I'm hoping that this is not going to be the same case for this one. This is a Hot Toys product, so I'm assuming the quality is going to be better. So I'm really hoping that the quality just holds up for a long time. And I guess that's just something that I'll have to keep an eye out on for. But other than that, I mean, honestly, whether you like the Hellboy franchise or not, this figure is an absolute must get. If you are on the fence, just buy it. It is so good. And it looks even better when it's in your hands. This figure is going to draw attention. It's going to catch eyes. It looks really good displayed. And I am absolutely in love with it. They did a top tier job with this figure. Unfortunately, the movie sucked, but the Hellboy figure is A+. So I had a lot of fun doing the unboxing and review of this 1/6 scale Hellboy figure. I will have more videos in the future, so stay tuned for those. Like always, thank you for watching and stay safe.